All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on to 5.3. I'd like you to get out your red notebook and a writing utensil. Pause while you do that. All right, we're continuing to work on unit fractions. Remember, unit meaning one. One is the piece out of how many total there are. So we're going to create a model, a tape model, and we're going to mark it as a whole. We're going to cut it into sixths. So very carefully, we're going to break into three first. So we're going to break into thirds first, best you can. And then you're going to cut each third in half. So you have sixths. From there, we try to figure out what our unit is, our denominator. So we count our pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we do have sixths. From there, we're going to shade in. And we have to determine how many are shaded in, what fraction is shaded in. So I have 1, 6, 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 6. I can't continue any further because those are not shaded. So we're going to put our 4, 6 on this side, and we're going to write out our unit fractions as a sum. Who can tell me what my first unit fraction would be? Hopefully you said 1/6. That represents this guy. Plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6. You should have decided to write 4 of them because I have 4 spaces filled in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. You can also write it a different way if you were to bracket some of your components. 4, 6 equals a 2, 6 plus 2, 6. They both equal the same. 2 plus 2 is 4. Again, we do not add up our denominator because our denominator tells us what the size of our pieces are. Denominator tells us the size of our pieces, and we only have 6 pieces. If I added these up, I'd have 12, but I do not obviously have 12. I have 6. All right, I'm going to erase. If you need longer to write this down, go ahead and pause. All right, we're going to go ahead and get a little bit tougher here, and we're going to look at our model. But this time, I'm actually going to make my model 2 models. This is a whole, and this is a whole. So I have 2 wholes. With those 2 wholes, I know that I am working with 2 separate pieces, so I only want to count up the pieces within each whole. So I'm actually going to cut this into fourths, so half and half again. If you look, that's fourths. Do the same thing over here, half and then half again, fourths. Some of you are still probably going, no, there's 8 there, but there's not because you have 2 wholes. They are separate pieces. So if I shade in, what do I have? Go ahead and pause while you figure out the sum of unit fractions and your total. Pause. All right, what you should have come up with is you should have said that it equaled 5 fourths. Not eighths, because this is my whole. I have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, which gives me 5 fourths. Now you could, of course, break it up a different way by bracketing. What would that equal? Go ahead and pause while you write that out. Hopefully you said this was worth 2/4 and this was worth 3/4. They still equal 5/4. 2 plus 3 is 5. The numerator is 5. That's how many pieces are shaded in. The denominator is 4. That's how much my whole is broken into. Denominator. Every time I have to stop, don't I? All right, one last one, and then we're going to call it good, and you guys are going to go off into your book. All right, we have here a different type of model. This model is broken into a whole, and then there are some more pieces, but you're going to notice they're not bracketed as wholes. And because they're not bracketed as wholes, they are not going to get a number 1 above them. I am, however, going to cut my whole into thirds. So if we pretend these pieces aren't there, I have 1, 2, 3 pieces, thirds. If this is not bracketed as a whole, then these are not broken up into chunks. However, we know that if this is thirds, then these are also thirds because they are attached to it. So if I were to shade in all 5 of them, we know they're all thirds, even though there's not a hole up here. If there were a hole, it would only look like halves. So we didn't put a hole up there because we only put part of the next piece. So this would be 1/3, and the reason I got thirds is because of this. 3 pieces originally in my whole, plus 1/3, plus 1/3, plus 1/3, plus 1/3. And that equals a total of what? Pause while you figure that out. Hopefully you came up with 5/3. So just because there's not a hole above it doesn't mean you can't still utilize it. As long as you know what your original whole was and what your denominator is, then you can add on your additional pieces. All right. So from there, we could, of course, bracket it. We could have had 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 1/3. It would still give us 5/3. Oops, that doesn't even look like a 3, does it? Sorry about that. All right, you're going to be asked to do this throughout your lesson today in the problem set, and you can find a partner, and that partner will help you work together, or will help you figure out any problems you have. Good luck, and I think that's it.